Hello friends, and welcome to yet another episode of Coding Tips. In this video, we will learn everything there is to know about CSS Flexbox. For starters, CSS Flexbox is a layout that allows developers to build responsive elements within a container. It allows the elements to be automatically arranged depending on viewport size. In other words, it uses flexible widths and heights to align elements or distribute space between elements. In case you don't know, I would recommend you to stay with me until the end because as a front-end developer, you are going to use a lot of CSS Flexbox in your coding journey. Also, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to make sure you don't miss any new episodes of Coding Tips. Let's start. On my screen here, you can see I have defined a parent container with class name FlexContainer with background color red. It has 3 children with class names child1, child2, and child3, also with background colors blue, yellow, and green respectively. To start using the Flexbox model, I need to first define a Flex container. Here's how to do that. The class name of my parent container is Flex Container, so I will open my CSS and type .flexcontainer and then open curly braces, display flex. As you can see, the child elements have been instantly arranged in a row after defining the Flex container. Next, let's move on to the Flex Direction property. The Flex Direction property defines which direction the container should stack the children or flex items. I will give it a value column to stack the children or flex items vertically from top to bottom. What if I want the flex items vertically stacked but from bottom to top? Then I will use the column reverse property, and as you can see, the stack has been reversed. I will now assign it a value of row to arrange them horizontally from left to right. This is also the default arrangement. That is, when you don't use any flex direction property, the flex items is stacked in a row. I can also use the flex direction row reverse value to stack the flex items horizontally but from right to left. Next, we move on to the flex wrap property. The flex wrap property tells whether the flex items should wrap or not when necessary. We use this property when the combined width of the flex items is too big for the width of the parent container. For the flex wrap property, I have added more flex items to my flex container and set each of them to a width of 100 pixels. But clearly, these widths are not 100 pixels each because the flex property is trying to squeeze all the flex items in the flex container. We can correct this by adding flex wrap and add the value wrap. Now you can see the items are now being set at their correct width. I can also use the value wrap reverse to wrap the flex items if necessary, but in reverse order. Next property is the flex flow. The flex flow property is just a shorthand for setting both the flex direction and flex wrap properties. In other words, it is just a combination of the flex direction and flex wrap. Let's say I want to stack the flex items vertically and wrap them at the same time. I just add a flex flow property and assign its values column and then wrap. Now you can see the flex items have been arranged vertically and wrapped. Now I will delete 4 of the items, leaving 3, increase the width of the flex container, and set a height of 100 pixels to the flex items to explain the next flex property. Before I continue, please subscribe if you have not done so already and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new video uploads. The next property I will show you is the justify content property. The justify content property is used to align flex items. I will assign it to the value center, and that brings all the flex items to the horizontal center of the flex container. Next value is the flex start, which aligns the flex items at the beginning of the flex container, as you can see here on my screen. Note that flex start is default. Next is flex end, which also aligns the items at the end of the container. Now I will show you 3 different values of the justify contents property that creates space between the flex items. First is the space evenly value, which creates equal spaces between the flex items and the start and the end of the stack. This means the space between the flex items and the spaces at the beginning and at the end of the stack are all equal. Next is the space around value, which is very similar to the space evenly value. but focuses on creating a space around each flex item. With a space around, the spaces between the flex items are 2 times the spaces at the beginning and at the end of the stack. Next is the space between value, and as the name goes, it creates the maximum space between the flex items. The next flex property is the align items property, which also is used to align flex items. The difference between this and the justify contents property is align items focuses on the vertical orientation of the flex container. If I assign it a value of center, you can see that all the flex items move to the vertical center of the container. Note that the 3 values that create spaces between the flex items do not work with the align items property. And that brings us to the final property I'll talk about, which is the align content property. It is used to align flex lines. For this property, I've added 4 more flex items and set the flex wrap property to wrap. I will first set the align contents property to a value center. You can see the wrapped items have been moved to the vertical center of the container. I will change the value to space between, and as you can see, the maximum space has been created between the stack. You should be able to notice that the align contents property is just like the justify contents property, but focuses on the vertical orientation of the container. Plus, it only works when the flex items has been wrapped. Now, here's one final tip I have for you: how to perfectly center an element. You can see that my flex container with red background is perfectly centered within the page. Here's how I did it. I just defined the body element as a flex container, set both the justify content and align items property to center, and this, friends, is the best way to center an element perfectly. If you found this video helpful, then make sure to smash the like button and do not forget to subscribe before leaving. Thank you for staying with me until the end, and I'll see you in another video.